Do you enjoy the preparation and the butchering of your own game? Well, let's get into a product you might enjoy. What's up everybody and welcome back to Outdoor Gear. My name is Aaron Bottoms and today we're going to look at a product that's made for anybody who likes to do their own butchering, their processing, whatever it may be. This is something that you might want to have at home. What I'm talking about is a portable butchering processing kit. Now this is made by Mossy. It is their hunting field dressing kit and it comes in a nice little snazzy case. As you can see, we open it up and we've got a few different items here that we're going to look at. First and foremost, we've got some gloves, one for each hand. They now, as far as I know, they only come in one size, and this is an extra large, and I have pretty like a large to medium hand, so you've got a little bit of play in the tips here. Personally, I'm just going to get a box of nitrile gloves, keep them on hand with my stuff, so when I butcher, I have that ready to go. Our spreader here for our brisket. You put this right inside the rib cage, open it up of the deer, the elk, whatever it may be. For an elk, it might be a little too small. For a deer, we're probably just right where we can get it in there. Hold our rib cage open and you get your inner loins, you can get your heart, whatever you would like to get from that deer. Makes it a little bit easier to hold that bad boy open. Then we have a bone saw here. You know, not very long, kind of short. Again, when we're dealing with something that's a smaller game. This isn't, I believe, to be made for a elk or a caribou or any moose of any kind like that. This is more towards deer. This is a lower end product for deer processing, made by Mossy. And as you can see there, little camo pattern here. A little outdated in my opinion, but, you know, this isn't for wearing on your body. You're not trying to hide from the deer. If anything, being camouflage might be problematic if you drop it somewhere. Then we have ourselves a little 7.5 inch caping knife. It's a very small blade here. Essentially this knife is for caping the deer, taking the skin off. You follow the line, pull the hide, everything like that. And it's nothing more than that. You can get some small areas, some fine cuts. That's great. I come from a one knife man myself. So it's nice to have a little bit of option here to go off of and have a case. And then you have your 9.5 inch gut hook skinner. Now if you're not familiar with what a gut hook is, essentially you make your first cut, open up to where you can run this gut hook down the front of your deer and open up that hide. You can also make a small incision into the gut itself and do the same thing to approximately the rib cage, and then you can continue on, cut the ribs open, get the guts out, everything like that. If you're not too familiar with deer skinning or animal cleaning, I'm not going to showcase that on this channel. Maybe in a different channel, but YouTube does not like that. Anyway, big thick blade on it. You know, it's pretty sharp right out of the case here. Like it should be. Again, the handle in that same camouflage pattern. This feels like a very fragile plastic to me. It might be HDPE. If you're not sure what that is, it is a stronger plastic, but we will see how that works. And as you can see here, all these knives have one single tang, which means they are one solid piece from tip to tip. It is one piece of metal. Moving on to our final knife that we have in here, and that is a 10-inch boning knife. Simply, this knife is for getting around the bones, following the lines of the bone, and getting as much meat off as you can. You know, you can also, if you have fish, this isn't the best fillet knife, but it's a little bit skinnier right here in the tang. You follow the fillet down, you can skin some fish with it, whatever it may be. If you're doing ducks per se, smaller knife might be a little bit better. Again, deer, you're going to move up to a higher knife. Either way you look at it, you've got some options in your arsenal. And then you've got your knife sharpener. Now this doesn't look anything fancy, and if you've seen other videos we have done to sharpen your knife, you are going to simply take the blade on top and pull away from it. And that is a noise that doesn't feel good in my soul, but that means it is grasping and sharpening that knife. So what we're going to do is go through some tests and we'll see what each of these is kind of made of. Again, we have the bone saw. I've got a big bone. I've got some sticks. It says bone or wood, so we'll put it to the test on both. We'll test the handles themselves to see how they hold up. So let's get to it. So right off the bat here, I want to take my hammer and see what these handles can take. Take this guy over here, move the rest of them out of the way, grab myself a glove here, because we need to be nice and safe when holding the tip of this knife and hitting the handle with a hammer. So let's go ahead and pull this little knife out here, and I want to do a little bit of a hammer test on this. Since I have plenty of small knives, I don't feel bad for trying to break this one at all. So let's get to it. I got my glove for safety. And other than some maybe glue or threading, something popping out the tang here, this thing is still intact, which kind of surprises me. What if we hit the top here? If anything, that just put a hole in my table a little bit. That's all right. Yeah, that held up actually pretty well. There's no chipping of the paint. There's no blacking of it. So maybe this is made out of like a HDPE, a little bit harder material so that it's not going to break on you. As I have this in my hand here, it feels pretty good. And then your sawing blade here, you know, it's not very thick. You've got a little bit of a bend to it, which you do want in a saw, but I prefer if it was a little bit longer. I know it's got to fit in this nice little travel case here, but we'll see how that does. Now to going off this bone saw here, it's also a wood saw. So I've got a smaller cedar tree here. I'm going to see what I can do and take it down if I need to cut some brush or something. All right, so as you can tell, it's not the most effective item. It does have a nice little edge on the back here, so when you are pulling back towards you, it catches instead of slipping out. However, it's not quite long enough to get a very good running start, I should say. But it works, it will do the job. I just don't think it is the best thing. Moving on. Got a nice bone, we're just gonna see how it does getting in there, and it's doing its job. It is in fact sawing into this bone here, and this was my dog's bone, and now it's a project for me. So maximum effort. This is a tough bone, but you can see it did get through just enough. If you're cutting through a big bone like this, it may take you a while to get through. However, if you're going to cut through a smaller bone, that's more towards what this is for. This isn't really made for this giant beef bone. It's made towards deer. I don't think this is for elk or moose. I wouldn't recommend that there. But for small game, sure. Now I do want to start off by checking and seeing how each of these feel in the hand. And overall, that feels pretty good. The small one here, and you've got a little bit of a extra notch up here so you can get a little bit finer. You can hold up tight and not have to worry too much. But if you're holding it from back here, I can still get all my fingers on there. It's not too small. It's still going to work like I need it to. And again, this is a caping knife, so really for me, my fingers are going to be like this. I'm going to take top finger up here, and I'm going to grab one side of the hide, and I'm going to follow the lines to open up that cape. Moving on to the gut hook knife. Again, this one's a little bit heavier, a little bit top heavy up here. Typically, you want a balanced knife. I mean, it's cheap, so I don't expect too much out of it, but a little top heavy. If you can see that here, it's leaning to the left a little bit. But in the hand, it's slick feeling, but it's not too bad, you know. Now, if I put these gloves on, they've got a little bit of a grip on here. They got some grip, and yeah, it's a little slick in my opinion. I would prefer there be some sort of gripping material on here, or to be serrated or something like that, so it's not sliding super quick, but with water or blood or anything slimy, I can imagine so. But overall, not bad on the hand. I expect the same thing here. Yeah, so it's got a decent grip where you can get your hand around it. But, again, that slick side here throws me off a little bit. All right, so what if we get our hands wet a little bit? How does this handle do? Let's go ahead and get the handle wet. Not as bad as I thought it would be. Again, this is just water, it's not slime. But yeah, I'm not able to just easily pull it out. But what if we got our glove that they gave us? What if that's wet? Is that going to be more grip or less grip? Hands are wet. Absolutely less grip, 100% there. So that's the downside of really any glove, and that there being no sort of grip on this knife itself, is that if you're wearing gloves and they get wet, or just your standard hand being slimy or bloody, whatever it may be, you're going to deal with losing a good amount of grip. Again, if we take our glove off, we've got more grip, but then again, that's just because our hands naturally have a little bit more grip to them. But downside there, not the end of the world. It'll still do the trick, just be careful. All right, so before we're done with this product, I got a glove on here, and we're going to see how our sharpener does with our knives, and more so how our knives hold up to being sharpened and cutting through stuff initially. So, got a little piece of foam here. We'll go ahead and cut through that. Not a problem. Give it a little pressure, and it went right through. I'm not saying that I couldn't, you know, if I don't put anything on it, not really going to cut anything there, but if we put some pressure, goes right on through. Let's grab our skinning knife here, or caping knife, I should say. Again, and so when I use this caping knife, I'm going to be index finger on the very top, or should I say pointer finger on the very top, and then our boning knife. Now that's a lot sharper than those other two. That went through clean as a whistle. Bringing up some cardboard, something a little bit heavier. Not a problem on that one. Do it again. All right. Not a problem. And then we've got a little guy. All right, so that to me is a little bit annoying. This little lip right here, if you go too far into a cavity of something, again, this is made for caping, but if you do go too far in, you seem to catch this little piece here, and you might be wiggling it back and forth. Got a piece of bone here. See if we can dull these bad boys up. Alright, give that back to the dog. Here you go. Take our knife sharpener here, and we'll just run it through once or twice. Alright, and we'll see how this still cuts. About the same, baseline there. Another one. Switch knives, see what we got on this guy. This one definitely seems a bit dull. Definitely not cutting as easily as it was now that we've banged it around. Let's do a couple more sharpening. This knife sharpener doesn't seem like the best either, but we'll see what that did. Not much of anything. Let's try a piece of cardboard. Yeah, as you can see, this is much more difficult to cut with now. But take this box, and you can still make a nice incision there. Now, take our boning knife, and yeah, that seems a lot more dull too. Now that we did that damage to it. Interesting. So, yeah, it's a lot bit dull. We don't want that. And it didn't seem like the sharpener really did anything. And in fact, made a little bit of a weird edge on there. So, that's kind of disappointing. These sharpeners obviously aren't the best. And for what you pay for, you don't get much out of them. Maybe with a better sharpening kit, you know, it might be alright, but put it to you this way, for the amount you're going to pay for a good sharpening kit, you're probably already paid for as much with the knives. So your sharpening kit's probably going to cost more. With that being said, $47 is what this 8-piece kit is going to cost you. I think it's considered 8 pieces because it comes with the 2 gloves, separate gloves, left and right hand, whatever it may be. 8-piece kit for $47 for a field dressing kit, butchering, whatever, by Mossy Oak. Outdated camo. After I kind of beat them up a little bit, the sharpening didn't come back to it. The edge didn't come back. $47 is not a lot to pay for a knife. I have knives that cost separately by themselves at least $47 or more, and you're going to get a lot better product that way. So you get what you pay for. In a pinch, this will work, but I wouldn't recommend going out and purchasing this for a big hunt. If you're going moose or elk hunting or anything like that, not so great. If you're going to do processing at home and you want to cut some meat up, this might work for you, but just get you a nice knife, a couple of nice knives, and call it good. Nice sharpening kit, everything like that. Even something like the Outdoor Edge, which we put in a different video. Check those out. We'll get more of those in and do some reviews on the bigger ones and the fixed blade and all that stuff. But Mossy Oak Hunting Field Dressing Kit, get a kind of low score on this one. If it's 0 out of 10, I'd give it about a 4. I mean, it will work, but it won't do the best job. It'll just do a job. So, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. And again, let us know what you want to see. See y'all later.